have to give it to you. Those glasses every time with the tape in the middle, it's just so corny looking.
That was one of those like filters. That was actual a filter.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that was a filter, and I was actually trying to cross my eyes in that. It's just I don't know. Yeah, I like that one too. It's a good one.
With the intro done, it is Wednesday night.
Right? Brought to you by Wasp Racing. Remember that. Wasp Racing.
Yeah. WAF Racing brings you Wednesday Night Tech Talk Live. So head over to WAF Racing and get your carb covers or holder dealies or whatever you want to call it. Like,
yeah,
they got all kinds of little tools.
Yeah, they got some cool stuff over there. Go check them out.
Yeah. I guess we'll start this off from the top. Danny Boyd was here at 359.
Wow.
Yeah. Clint Street Machines is here. KS Skyhawk. Hey, all Wednesday night is all right. Big Block 402, Paul Pahui, Bruce Coltgen, Bobby Frizzell. Frizzell Racing is here. Come to hang out for a little while. One-Eyed Cat is here. Big Block 402, Stephen Myrick, Buff Del Campo, Colleen Tebow, Dust Devil Garage. Let's see. Man, everybody's chatting it up big time. Slant Daily Garage, what's up, suckers? Fab Race Mod Repeat. Hello from Fab Race Mod Repeat headquarters. Left Turn Dodge is here. Mohawk 62 is in the house. Let's see. SSR Performance. What's up, everyone?
Nice.
Yeah. Clayton's Toolbox. Buick Smith. Junkyard D is here. Let's see. Man, there's some big group of folks in here tonight.
Yeah.
Levi's Backyard Performance is here.
Levi.
Now that I'll have 3 vehicles with carbs, I'm going to need at least 1 cover. Yeah. Well, dude, hopefully you got 3 vehicles with, I don't know, decent knowledge of how to tune a carb now.
Yeah. You're going to learn.
Well, he's one of the younger generation that like carburetors were archaic when he was born. So
it's like Blizzard.
Yeah. Maybe we can make Dylan Levi into a man of many trades.
Right?
Yeah.
Hang out with this group. He definitely will.
Oh, for sure. And Andrew Nelson just snuck in under the Indiana Jones door, pulls his hat out right at the end. Yeah.
They're getting ready they're getting ready to go to Sick Week here soon, man.
Yeah. Well, they're thrashing on that Camaro, trying to get that 4200 in the Camaro.
All right. Ooh, here, look at this. We're here.
He's
officially registered, and I'm hoping to run with the Triple Crown. So there it is.
Mr. Buick Smith.
Nice.
Yeah, he was saying he was registered for No Name Nationals and was considering Triple Crown. He didn't know what to bring, though. And yeah, he didn't know if he wanted to run a Buick 350. And I was like, man, if you want to run a Buick 350, go get something else. That's what I was thinking. The more and more I think about it, it's like, man, that's hard to run that class and be competitive with an engine that's such an oddball.
If someone's going to be doing an oddball engine, here's one that you guys should think of. If you're thinking about running a Gen 3 Hemi, I'm going to let one of the little cats out of the bag of something I know. If you run a later model 5.7, so an Eagle had one with VVT, find yourself a 6.4 crank. If you put that in the 5.7, that comes out to 360 cubic inches. So that is a really good tip for someone because literally it's a drop-in unit. It's a steel crank, and you can RPM to the moon. And you can usually pick up the 6.4 cranks for about $200 or $300 because most 6.4 guys are stroking them out. So you can usually pick those up really, really cheap. So just throwing that out there for people. That's a little.
Oh, so the 6.4 crank in the 5.7 Hemi makes a 360 cubic inch motor.
Yeah, 360 cubic inches.
So right there under the wire. That's what. So we had talked about this before with the Gen 3 Hemi, it being limited to only the 5.7 version of it was actually a hindrance on that thing. And
the bore is the hindrance because then see the thing is I didn't want the 6.1 to be in there because it's got a 4060 bore. That means you can put the 6.4 heads on it, and then you would gain all the flow. That's why I made it 368 instead of 370 or 371. It was for that reason. But you can still run a 5.7, but it's got a tiny little bore. It's a 3.91 3.1, I think. Is there 9?
Same as the 318.
I think it's a 3. Yeah, I think it's 3.91. I don't remember. Something like that. And then, but then with a 3.72 crank, that comes out to a 360. So it's right there. And then 30 over makes it 365. So.
Well, Big Block 402 says we will be bringing 2 Barracudas for Triple Crown this year. Excited that I get to drive one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you didn't see the Triple Crown race from last year, Stephen Myrick's brother, I don't remember what his name was. We'll call him Mr. Myrick the second. He was the one of the ground pounders in the class.
Yeah. And Steven, he's going to be looking to get a camshaft for me. So I'm going to be helping him out with his little combo, kind of putting it together. So yeah, so he's going to have something for you guys. I promise you that. Promise you guys that. Remember, I don't kiss and tell though, but I can tell you right now, he's going to have something for you guys.
So Buick Smith says he's either bringing the 71 Buick GS or my 65 El Camino 350 Buick, or 357 small block Chevy, or 348 small block Chevy.
Oh, there you go. I'm going to back up real quick. I'm going to do this really quick. But Bobby Fizel says tuning a carburetor is something everyone should learn, and I agree with that. In fact, Bobby sent him one of his friends. He bought a VRS and it wasn't running correctly on his car, so he sent me. And I told him, I promised the guy that I would. His name is Mr. Jeff Lambert. And I told him, I said, look, man, I won't talk about it. Or do you mind if I talk a little bit about it? He goes, oh, I'll be offended if you don't talk about it. So this is his car. He's got a really cool. I'm going to go full John Wilburn here. It's an F-150. Check that thing out, man. It's all like patinaed out. And he got himself a VRS, and he was having problems. He called me up and he goes, hey man, I had a 750 on this thing. It was doing the same thing. He had a Holly, he had a different type of Edelbrock. They're all doing the same thing, and they locked out the distributor. They tried this, tried that. And so then I made a little joke. I was actually just telling Dallas this before I got in there. I was like, well, hold on a second. Let me get my crystal ball out here and just kind of look into it and see if I can figure this out over the phone. And anyways, so I was able to kind of help him out. He got a thing running, and he called me back the next day, and he was super happy. He's like, dude, this thing's amazing. The car runs awesome. And really what it was is that he was tuning just the front idle adjustment. And so what it was is he was coming off the transfer slot. So when he was tipping in, it was going lean. So what I did is I told him, I was like, have you adjusted the back one? He goes, no. And I was like, okay, well then adjust the front one all the way down until it comes off, adjust the back one, then turn them till they touch, then do one full rotation, and then start from there. And so then when he started it up, he said it ran beautiful. And it just happens that guy owns something called the Best Damn Hand Soap Place. And so for helping him out, he sent me all this cool stuff. He sent me this Best Damn Hand Balm, Best Damn Hand Soap, Best Damn Hand Wipes, and then the Best Damn Soap Bar. I thought that was pretty cool, man. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So that was this weekend. I got him running, and he sent this to us. So sent that to me. So anyways, yeah, go check him out, man. He's a cool dude, man. And Jeff Lambert, he owns that place, and yeah, so it's always good. Everyone should learn about a carburetor. Now he's a VRS guy, and he's going to fly that flag.
Well, it's funny down here at 707, Johnny C 4898 says, I wonder how many carburetors were replaced due to people simply not knowing how to troubleshoot and set them properly. I bet millions were good, but just needed simple adjustments.
Absolutely. In fact, every VRS that has shown up at our building has 100% been okay. It's actually the person behind the tool. It was either the timing or just the adjustments were not set correctly. It's exactly it. They threw a carburetor and think it was something that can be fixed. We take them, we throw them on a car, they run just fine. We take them off, and then we usually send them out to like sponsors that we sponsor and let them run them. They run just fine.
Well, it's funny that Smokey Unique used to have a saying for this. He said that 90% of carburetor problems can be found under the distributor cap, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's like, it just goes to show you like how long that saying's been around, because it's probably been from the beginning of the carburetor, that those have been the issues that people really just don't know what they're doing is the problem.
Yeah. So they're going to both be 360 powered. So that's going to be awesome.
And then SSR Performance is saying, I bet we have 20 cars this year in Triple Crown. We had 19 last year, so I'm hoping we'd have at least 29.
Did we have that many? I thought we had like 11.
I thought it was 19. That's what the number was.
I don't know. Maybe I thought it was 11. I thought it was going to be 12 because that would have been six combos, and then one busted out. I think we had 11.
Did we have 11? Oh, and then so the number for this year was going to be 19.
That we had. This year's going to be 19.
Yeah. Let's see. Levi's Backyard Performance says, Frizzell, there aren't many old guys left to teach the youngins. Just food for thought. I've learned from my father, and like I said earlier, the SRC gang, the Street Racing Channel. Okay, so this is something that I actually was thinking about this whole week before we started doing the Wednesday night tech talk. It just so happens that I was faced with this week pretty hard, right? So you've seen my 300 Buick intake that I made, and it kept cracking along the welds, and I ended up I gave it my college try, and I dug them out and I re-welded it, and they just kept cracking. So I'm like, I asked a couple people, Fab Race Mod Repeat, and he was like, I've heard that about metal that's like I don't know, junkyard metal, like it's aluminum that you just melt down a bunch of wheels and make an intake manifold or something. It's like very low quality aluminum these days because a lot of it's recycled aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, you know what? I got a guy down the street that he welds aluminum all the time, and he ends up making like odds and end pieces for his own thing. But he's the guy that like every company in town, when they have something that's like needs manufactured, he's the dude that does it, right? So I'm like, well, I'll take it over there and see if he can weld it up. And I dropped it off with him, and a week or so went by, and he called me like every day, let me know what he was thinking and what he tried and that it was cracking just like I was telling him. And I thought originally it was my machine or just my skill level being pretty novice, but he was like, I've never seen anything like this. It just keeps it literally, I'll get one weld completely welded all the way around, and it'll just 5 minutes later, it'll just sound like you dropped a plate on the ground, like, and well, anyway, then he stopped calling. So I went over to his shop and he wasn't there. And then finally I just called him early in the morning yesterday, and he had a stroke. And so it was like, you know what, man, that it surprised me, but it just started this ball rolling in my head. Like, a few years ago, it was the millennials versus the boomers, right? Okay, boomer, right? And they shit on those guys so hardcore, but in reality, our generation, I'm Gen X, just like Shane,
yep.
And our parents were the boomers, and we were the in between. Our kids were the millennials or the Gen Zers, right? That were giving the boomers such a hard time. But the reality of it is, the boomers are the ones that have all the knowledge and skill and are very wise when it comes to this kind of stuff. Because why? They've been there, done that, and they've been doing it their whole life.
Yeah.
And we really need to start absorbing as much information as we can from these boomers, because when it's gone, right? Yeah. I will be one of the last holdouts with a Quadrajet. I will. There's more and more every day that show up just because there's hordes at people's houses, and these boomers are dying off, and they just end up at a pile in the junkyard, and I buy them all for 10 cents on the dollar.
I think I snort a different carburetor drug than you. Mine's even worse. I think the Holley 1920, you really have to know how to make that thing work. And I have two cars with Holley 1920s on it, and one of them's got two Holley 1920s on it. So I've got three of them. But I'm with you. I'll be a holdout on. I'm going to have Holley 1920s on my car just because they work so well. If they're right, they're right.
Yeah, and that's how I'm going to do my Quadrajets. I'm going to have about 4 or 5 of them that are the same Quadrajet, and just have parts to repair them for years.
Exactly. So Bobby says he told me that his fuel mileage has doubled since he talked to you, and now the truck will roast the tires from a standstill. That's awesome. Oh, Does SSR Performance, they have a dyno? They actually have a chassis dyno?
Yeah, they're a dyno shop.
I didn't know that. I had no clue. Well, good. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I want to say the first year at No Name Nationals, he offered up free dyno tunes for anybody that was attending No Name Nationals and want to get their car squared away before the event started.
Where are they located at, man? Man, if I would have known that, I would have been sending people to them, because people ask me where there's a dyno place. I had no idea that they did dyno tuning. I really didn't.
Yeah. They're in Paducah, Kentucky, though. They're kind of far from where you're at.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Let's see. I have 2 mileage questions. Can a wheel dyno tell horsepower or torque at light throttle input? Also, will an engine make max torque at the same RPM at light throttle as opposed to wide open throttle?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's no on that second question, right? And then I am certain it can tell you the horsepower and torque at light throttle, but you would have to have something that's repeatable, where it's like you set the linkage to only open the throttle so far every time, to where it's measurable, because it's almost impossible to do it every time the same amount, right? To get any kind that's to justify any changes or updates. I think the best way to do this one.
We do this all the time, and you're not going to get an accurate horsepower number, because it's only partially open. And since you can only measure torque versus RPM, and then divided by 52, and that gives you horsepower, your horsepower is going to be way off. So you're only going to be able to just do, because we do drivability tests. That's actually what a drivability test is. It's right here. So only measuring efficiency and brake specific of the fuel at a certain RPM to see how much torque can it make at this amount of airflow, with this amount of fuel, and this amount of torque. And you just can't get the RPM out of them. You can get a number of horsepower, but remember that you have to be over 5,000, 52 for them to cross. So it'll always be, the horsepower will always be below torque and up to 52. So you're really not going to see any number. You're only going to be measuring efficiency at that point. When it's wide open is when you're able to bring it past that number and get an actual horsepower number.
Well, what I was going to say is, okay, real world mileage tests, the ideal situation is a mixture of in-town and highway driving. And then I think that's the closest you're going to get to the perfect ideal mileage setup, is drive it. And you have to do you have to measure it essentially from your in town and then on the highway and back in town or whatever, but you need a minimum of about 150, 200 miles on it to really do some of that. And I think the only way to really tell if things are actually working is doing a mileage test. And I think the smart thing to do is have a TAC and then record your mileage information, and you do the same route every time, but at different RPMs. It'd be like, second gear instead of third gear, or third gear instead of overdrive, and just mathematically compare the fuel consumed. Because really what you're looking at there is a number that the dyno can tell you called brake specific fuel consumption. Mm-hmm. But the brake specific fuel consumption on a dyno, it doesn't load it like in a real world practical application. It's got to pick a certain RPM, and then it has a 300 RPM or 500 RPM window that it allows it to run full at while keeping a load on the engine. It's better to have it in a vehicle where it's constantly loaded and having to accelerate and decelerate. And then what you do is you're figuring out an average of all that.
Yeah. Steven's saying that the Gold Barracuda top end is all Edelbrock now. So he must have did some shopping over there at Edelbrock. So heads, intake, valve covers, rocker arms, comp cams, springs, and lifters now just need a VRS to make it complete. That's awesome.
Well, Michael Schmidt says 709 carbs. I wonder how many perfectly good carbs were thrown in the trash to replace with a new Chinese replacement carb. Millions, I'm sure. I know that I see videos all the time where guys were buying the Chinese Quadrajet, and it was like, my God, if you guys thought a Quadrajet was hard, try a improperly built one, you know, if it's not drilled properly or it's not sized properly on certain things, I imagine that's going to be even harder to troubleshoot.
Yeah. Here's actually a carb tech. There. Can you read this? My glasses are fogging up here.
There is all the opportunity in the world to learn carbs or welding, etc., with all the online resources and cheap books that have been written in the last 50 years. Okay.
I agree.
It does give you a good knowledge base, but the practical application is what has to be done if you're learning a technical trade. That's why you should never be worried about AI taking your job as a carburetor technician or, like somebody who welds, because AI can't do it, right? They can give you all the information, but they have no practical application of it. I had never TIG welded in my life before I started welding on that intake manifold. And I sat down and played with the TIG welder for about an hour trying to run a bead. And when I finally ran a bead, I'm like, all right, now I have enough balls to try this intake manifold. And it is one of those things that's like the books give you the wealth of knowledge. There's a lot of good books out there, right? But the practical application, don't be afraid to screw something up. I mean, there is not one single thing that you could do that can't be undone by somebody else. So that's kind of how I look at it.
I'm going to skip ahead real quick here, but this is really good. Who has seen the big Memphis announcement today that $60 million investment coming to the track? Just an insane amount of money, but I'm pumped for it. I am too, man, because I started building a 68 Dart years ago, 2021, 2022. And I basically had stopped on it because there was no reason for it, because I wanted to kind of road race it. Now that means that track's coming back. So I'm really pumped. And that means that car's going to get going this year. That's my goal.
Huh. Well,
let's see if did I miss anything? Well,
no, I was looking at KS Skyhawk says, I'm a boomer. I love to be loved, but too old, but not too old to learn. Happy 79 to me, January 2nd, still kicking and here to learn. So, hey, thanks for stopping by and happy birthday.
Oh, he's saying that he's about an hour from Sikeston. So is he about on the 57? Right.
No, it's in Paducah to Kentucky. You have to there's a back road that goes from Sikeston. I think it's 61 that goes up to Paducah. The back way, or you got to go all the way up to like Cairo, Illinois, and then over.
Now, is this shop called SSR Performance? Obviously,
I'm sure that's what it is.
Okay, I'm just going to Google that real quick, see if it comes up. Well, that's not it. That's in Europe. Definitely not it. That's Irvine. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But it's SSR Performance shows it is in Langley Avenue in Irvine, California, and then there's another one in Europe. I don't know.
All right. So Andrew Nelson says, funny you said that about boomers. I've been telling the kids, people under 60, you only have so much time left to get what's in my head on paper. They see what gets accomplished and are panicking.
Yes.
It's I'm telling you, the I don't know, the time is short for the boomers. And those guys, like, if you want to learn how to weld aluminum, see, that generation was, if you think about it, they didn't have aluminum intake manifolds, right? So they were making their own manifolds because that was modus operandi before people started pumping out aluminum intake manifolds. Matter of fact, these guys are probably the only generation I know of that knows how to actually machine, oh my God, magnesium, right? Because you can't just go up and start machining a magnesium. It will catch on fire and then burn your whole house down because it will burn until it's completely depleted. And they were making intake manifolds and wheels and all that stuff out of magnesium when everybody was starting to just pick up aluminum. So, all right.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where SSR Performance is at. He's saying that it's an amazing bridge that you cross going from Sikeston to Paducah. So, On that same note that you were just saying with the boomers, I literally have my YouTube channel just to document my builds. That's it. That's all I'm
Yeah.
doing, just in case something happens to me and my kids want to, they get these cars, they'll know how I put it together. So that way there's record of what I've done right there.
Well, okay. So Andrew Nelson saying that 80% of the issues with a quadrojet is the fuel pump is too small. The Hollies have 4 times the fuel volume in the bowls. The QJet has 1 needle valve with a super small bowl volume. And that's true. The pump has to overcome the short bowl or the small bowl, right? But there is other ways to do it. There's certain things that you can take out of the carburetor that aren't necessary, that adds more bowl volume. Also, they have other floats that are smaller floats that take up less room. But a combination of all those kind of fills in the gaps for what is ultimately too poor of a performing fuel pump generally. That's why if you ever look at like a Performance Chevrolet or a Buick Stage 1, they have their own fuel pump because the carburetors generally were too small. Now, the Chevrolets, when they were Performance Chevrolets, generally came with a solid lifter cam. And for that reason, you couldn't run a QJet. Most of them ran Hollies if it was a Performance Chevrolet application. And that's because it didn't have the vacuum to run the QJet properly. It's very dependent upon that power piston. It's the same as like the Edelbrock carburetors where it's got the power pistons in there, right? And if you don't have enough vacuum to run that correctly,
yep,
it is just a hog of a carburetor because it needs vacuum signal. That's what makes it work correctly.
Here, Clayton's Toolbox. Trans brake or foot brake, pros and cons.
Okay. Well, I never put a trans brake on anything I had
because
I had,
I've done them both. I like one for one and one for another.
I had nitrous before I had trans brake, and nitrous used to like break my wallet on a weekly basis because it would twist drive shafts and break input shafts or output shafts. And when I started looking at the trans brake is virtually the same thing, except for it's like a clutch dump, right? And that's exactly kind of what's happening inside the transmission when you let off the button. It holds reverse and first together until you let off the button and then just slams into first gear. It's bad on hard on parts, but it does give you like a tenth and a half advantage on any car that doesn't have one. Just throw a trans brake at it and it'll pick up a 10th.
Yeah, it's usually about right. I've ran them both, and I've noticed that sometimes if your suspension's not set up correctly, the trans brake is just a little too rough on some suspensions. It just hits too hard. I've noticed that foot braking is a lot easier to set up a suspension for that, and you'll actually sometimes get a better 60-foot at some tracks foot braking because it's not hitting nearly as hard. You're not shocking the tire.
It's usually the leaf spring cars that have the problem with the trans brake because it'll wrap the spring so hard. It happens so quickly, right? It's so violent.
So violent. I noticed that with my car. When I went to a trans brake, that's when I got the Caltrax. When I was foot braking it, the pinion snubber was totally adequate. Even when I was running nitrous, because I would let off the brake, the car would wrap up, and then it would kind of settle down. Then I would hit the button in second gear, and it would wrap back up again. So it wasn't, at the same time. So, and Colleen saying this, so go check out our sponsor right there. There's them. Go check it out, man. They got good stuff there.
Well, Dylan Levi saying, also, if you learn a skill, help out your fellow human. I can't stand when people won't be a helpful person to their community. I love welding things people are trying to throw out. I will say this, though, on this kind of thing. If you're gonna help someone out, teach a man to fish, okay? Because if you go fish for him, he's not going to learn anything from it. So teach a man to fish.
Yeah. I taught my kids how to fish, and now they go out all the time fishing. It's awesome. Here we go. I am trying to figure out the gear ratio so my engine at 2600 at 70 miles an hour, so it will load on a slight incline at 2500. max torque of engine at wide open throttle. Will it still make the most torque at the same RPM? Whatever the engine is going to be as far as peak efficiency. So when you load it, when you go wide open throttle and you go and you find peak torque, that's going to be maximum work for the engine. So even at light load, as you give it more throttle, if you're in that range right there, it's going to be using that fuel the most efficient at that range. That's exactly what I did with my Green Dart. So he wants a ratio at 2,600 at 7 miles an hour. Well, that's actually really easy.
That's like 342.
Well, for my car, I had a 26.3 diameter tire, and now with lockup and a 273 gear or 276 gear, that's exactly it's right at 2,500 at 70 miles an hour. So if you just go to, like, say, a 25-inch or 25.5 at that point, you'd be right at that number. Or if you're running a taller tire, then yeah, exactly like Dallas said, be like a 342. And then you could just go to Tremec gear ratios. You can literally put it in there, and remember, you're going to take 90% of that RPM because you're going to have a little bit of slippage unless you have a lockup converter.
So the 342, 373 gear is about where everything's going to fall. 342, 355, and Chrysler's the only one I know of that made a gear that is almost perfectly in the middle, the 355 gear. This all came about like in the 90s. If you remember when they started making 5-liter Mustangs, the 5-liter Mustangs came with, 302 HO and a 5-speed and like 273 track lock rear end. Okay. And they used to have a window sticker that'd say like 22 miles a gallon, 24 miles a gallon. Okay. If you got a standard, like a coupe, a notchback, as they call them, you could get 24 miles a gallon out of that combo. But the first guy that put like 355 gears or 373 gears in that 8.8, it then started knocking down like 27 miles a gallon. And that's because the gear ratio, originally they thought the less RPM that it turns, the better it's going to be on fuel economy. But there's a tipping point on that, right? Where what they've done is they crested the tipping point with an overdrive manual, because essentially you have 100% torque converter lockup on a manual all the time, right? When things in gear with the clutch out. And so when you have that 5-speed, that T5 5-speed, I want to say, what's the overdrive ratio? 0.67, 0.63?
Something like that. Yeah.
When they went to a 373 gear, it wasn't lugging the engine as much, and would actually bring it up into the torque band of the engine. And especially since they had that long runner intake manifold that was made for like low peak torque, those things would start knocking down some serious mileage. And then the ET dropped from like 1490s to like 1290s. And there was a huge difference.
If you go to Tremec and type in Tremec gear ratios, there's a little table that comes up, and I actually did it while Dallas was sitting there talking. So you could put in there engine RPM. I put in 2,600. I put in a 28 diameter tire, and I put in a gear ratio of 1. So it's a 1-to-1 even ratio. With a 309 gear, that's exactly 70 miles an hour. That's with lockup. So remember, you're going to be slipping a little bit. So you're going to have to account for that. So you're probably going to want to run like a 293 then gear if you're running that. But if you're running a 30-inch tire, that comes out to, see here, that would be I think it's 323 is what I had it at. Yeah, it's 323. So with a 30-inch tire. So that's exactly what you're looking for. So at low throttle input, or would it make max torque at the highest vacuum signal at the given speed? Well, the engine's the engine can only do so much work at wide open. And so if you're cruising down the road and you're at part throttle, it's only going to basically give that much work that it can do at that throttle. So as the load increases and you start giving it more throttle, it'll get to the point where it has the maximum amount of work, and then that's in that torque range. So you're only going to be given it so much. You do a dyno test so you see where the maximum work can be done, and then you build your combination around that. But at basically when you're cruising down the road, I put a vacuum gauge on it, and that's what I use for when I go across country. I'll put a vacuum gauge on it, and I try to keep the thing as high as possible, so that way when I'm going up hills, I'm not keep leaning into the throttle, because as the vacuum drops, you're just basically flooding the car with fuel, and it's actually getting crappier mileage. The whole idea for mileage is trying to keep the vacuum as high as possible.
The velocity.
Yeah, it's the velocity. Yeah.
Michael Schmidt, practical question. Without a dyno or a track, how can we use the car to dial in the best timing? They used to say advance it till it pings and then back it off. Is there a better, newer way? Okay. First off, it's reading plugs. Plugs are probably the easiest thing to get you in the ballpark, right? You're looking for the burn on the backstrap of the plug to be in the curve as it's turning, going to the actual the plug, the base of the plug. It should be in that curve somewhere. You generally want it in the middle of that curve. That's where your timing, your operating timing is ideal. If, like, let's say you're drag racing, that's what your total timing is ideal at that point. Now you need to figure out the curve to get it to that, to operate, go down the road. So that's the easiest way to tell if you have the timing correct on the engine, because remember, timing is what the engine wants, and each different piston and camshaft and rod ratio and stroke changes all of that.
And air-fuel mixture.
Air-fuel mixture does change it, because it will ping way early if it's lean, right? It's what the engine wants, what the ideal air-fuel ratio, okay? So what you want to do is set it up with a basic timing curve that you already have in mind, okay? Let's say this combination likes 36 degrees total, and you got to be able to start the vehicle, so you need your initial timing like probably around 12 to 14 degrees. And are you going to bring it all in with weights, or is it some of it going to be the vacuum advance because you're looking for gas mileage? Because the vacuum advance is the key to gas mileage.
Yeah,
right.
The leaner it is, you need more timing because it burns so slow, because there's not the particles are so far apart. So that's the reason why the vacuum advance, it will add like 15 or 20 degrees at part throttle, because it's so lean. There's not enough fuel for it to ignite. So you have to have a lot of pre-ignition for that thing to go off. Yeah, a lot of advance.
But the ideal thing is just get it to a ballpark number that you know is probably within almost any engine. You can pretty much say 36 total, okay? And then you dial it from there. Well, you can dial it from there.
Yeah.
Okay. But you want to start looking at plugs first. Once you start getting into the backstrap, then start playing with your timing. You can start playing with your curve, your advance curve, okay? Because you're going to have a mechanical advance curve and then a vacuum advance curve. What I do is I leave the vacuum advance completely unplugged and try to get the mechanical advance dialed in after you have what your total number is going to be. Once you get the curve, like the Buick, they like 32 to 38, somewhere around there total, but they like all advance in by like 1800 RPM, which is like really low for a lot of engines. They'll lug and ping down there. The Buick's not so much. They like that the timing all in quick. But once you get the mechanical advance set, then get yourself an adjustable vacuum advance, put it on there, and start it at 0. Okay. And then you can't do this like anything but driving when you do the vacuum advance. And the ideal thing is have a vacuum gauge and then picture in your mind how that vacuum advance is working as you watch the vacuum gauge. Okay. Because you should be able to do it a degree at a time. The ideal thing would probably be do 5 degrees at a time, 5 degrees of advance at a time, because it's going to take you probably 4 or 5 major trips to get that thing dialed in right. So do 5 degrees at a time. You'll know when you go past it because it'll start pinging like mad under part throttle.
And also to get plugs, get NGK plugs because they are the easiest plugs to read for your timing mark. They literally come out on a little white strip, and it's so defined. It's easy to see. All the other plugs nowadays, it's almost impossible to see the timing mark. But NGKs, it's so easy. And just buy a couple sets of plugs, and then after you do a change on it, oh, there's the little man. What's up, buddy? And after you do a change, put a new set of plugs in it so you can get a new timing mark on it.
Or you can be cheap like me and just change that one plug each time. Okay.
So Dan's Garage 03? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, any comment on performance of the DLC coded lifters now that they have been available for a while?
They work.
Have you had any come back?
What's that?
Have you had any come back?
No, I mean the only ones that we've had come back are people who have they were installing them and they dropped them, and then chipped them. Yeah, exactly. Damaged the lifter, but no, honestly, basically just install them. I'm running them on the green car right now, and that's a hydraulic, and then I have DLC going into Plan Z, and both of those I did. Well, the one I didn't even break it in. I started up and took it for a drive, and then literally drove it to Dallas, Texas. And then Plan Z, I'm going to start it up and I'm going to go drive it around the block, and there's no braking on them. So they just run. They work great. And we did almost 3 years of testing on them because I remember talking about this with Dallas almost 3 years ago before they actually came out. So we did 3 years of testing on them.
He must be bored.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So Fab Race Mod Repeat says, as far as odd carbs go, my 289 used to do well with 4100 Cracker Box auto lights. Then I finally went all Holly. And he says, remember, gas mileage chasers, don't turn those old engines too slow or you'll get into oil freeze and shorten the life of the mains from low oil pressure. He's the one that told me about the Fords doing that from the factory, the OEM Fords, when they went to the AOD and then like 267 rear end gears. And then you'd be going down the highway at 65 miles an hour, turning like 1400 RPM. And the oil itself wouldn't actually, the engine was spinning such low RPM. The oil losses from the pump to like the rear mains was huge because the engine's turning super low RPM. And the older they got, the more worn out they were and the more oil that was lost until it just would start burning the mains from the rear forward.
Yeah. That's why I like that 2000 RPM number because it's moving some oil at that point.
You know, I'll tell you something that I always found was ridiculously funny. I did a couple videos where I primed like an engine with a drill, and dudes were like absolutely just freaking out, you know. That number's not realistic. The engine's not turning enough RPM with just a drill. And I'm like, so I sat down and did the math, and I figured out the drill was turning like 3,000 RPM. And I said, dude, this is equivalent to like 6,000 RPM in the engine, right? Yeah. Because it's turning half the speed of the crank. And then it was like, oh yeah, you're right, dude. Yeah, I'm right.
All right. So James is saying, sneak up on the dyno. This is just this is the perfect way to say it. Sneak up on the dyno at a degree at a time. If it's picking up 20 to 25 horsepower per degree, you're safe. If it's only picking up a couple numbers, you're on the edge of dangerous, and then just back it back down and make it safe. That's what we do.
That's probably the best way to do it. It would be a dyno if you had access to one.
Yeah. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to go to his dyno when I get my my 68 running to get it all tuned in. I'll go up there. I'll put it on that thing because I got to get the 6.4. It has a short valve runner intake on it, so I have to get that thing tuned in for the camshaft.
Okay. Well, I was trying to read Dylan Levi's comment here at 742 says, wait, you're telling me you don't have to shove rods into a block to see where the timing is supposed to be? Where was this knowledge learned?
That's right. Because remember, he was throwing rods out the block to figure out timing. Well, hey, we all learned that way. Look, I was throwing out rods and cranks, learning nitrous. So we all learned. I mean,
I was doing dumb stuff too. Same thing.
yeah,
Like, dude, I was the only guy at the track spraying it from an idle. Right? People were like, "What are you doing? It's going to break rods or whatever." And I'm like, "No, it didn't seem to do anything until it did, and then it really broke stuff."
yes,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So Buick Smith saying he finally got a wideband AFR. It only has a single sensor. Can I still use it in a dual exhaust setup? Yes. Also, the short short single exhaust, only about 4 foot. After Y, 2 muffler. Can I run sensor after muffler? No, I would run it as close as you can to where I would put two holes in it and make it so you have a manifold that comes back, have it about 5 or 6 inches past the manifold. I'd put one on either side with a single sensor. That way you can put it in one side, tune it, take it out, put it into the other side, and see if it's running the exact same. That's what I would do.
Well, see, on a dual plane intake manifold, that would probably work really well.
Yeah.
Because you really have 4 banks or 2 banks,
Mm-hmm.
4 cylinders.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, is if you go all the way to the back to the Y, at some point, having the O2 sensor too far back, it doesn't get the signal right because the exhaust is cooling down. Everything's cooling down at that point. Also, too, there might be leaks in the system at that point. And you might be measuring something that might not actually be there.
Okay. Kerosene Cucumbers, the greatest name on all of YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. What are your opinions on electric cooling fans? Seems
Love
like
them.
an easy way to get free horsepower, and the brushless fans don't use much current.
I got them on everything.
There's really no downside to them, with the exception of sometimes they don't come on when they're supposed to when you have it set up right, but there'll be a ground issue or a power issue. That's the only downside to them, because in that circumstance the mechanical fan would outdo it. But the other thing is, you generally need a very large electric fan to overcome what a mechanical fan can do.
Yes. And then the best thing about those two is that you can usually bring it down to an idle when you have electric fans, and the car will actually cool. It's because it's at maximum flow even at idle. So as far as the airflow, right? And also too, if you're going to get electric fans, don't just get ones that click on, click off. Spend a little money. Go get the pulse modulated width ones. I have those on the green car, and it's amazing because it will. That way, it just doesn't turn on and it's full amperage, and it turns off. They'll actually ramp up, and then they keep the engine at an RPM. So I rarely hear my fans all the way full throttle.
Well, you'll hear them when they come on. They're like a
yes,
and then the fan will start slowly speeding up, and it's not drawing so much current.
Yeah, exactly. It's not such a shock on the system. The only time I ever hear mine on, and then as I start driving, they'll shut off because of the wind coming through. Then as I get back to a light, you'll hear them turn back on. And then when I get to a light, then you'll hear them click on. And as you start driving, you'll hear them click back down. So I would get one of those. And then they're actually the best for the older cars because they're not such a shock to the system when they go on.
Here's something pretty interesting. Ray, who was at last week, was asking me about Q-Jets. He says, I've got 2 of the nipple Q-Jets picked out. So he went and found the ones with the big nipple on the left side.
Okay.
A 17, 08, 02, 06, and 17, 05. 9222. Okay, 17, 08. That, I will have to I'll have to find on the internet real quick, but I think that 1708 is 1705 is the Chevrolet version. 9222 should mean it's 79 carburetor. You want to use the later of the two, but both of those are probably pretty good candidates because they start with 17 numbers, mean that's from like 76 on up. Because the first couple of years they were just a 708, they weren't 1708. But I'm thinking one of those looks like 78 and one's a 75. I'm not sure. But So either way, those are probably pretty good candidates to start from. The later one, the oldest one is the one I would start with. And if you got a 1975, grab the base plate because it's got the screws in it that you need for the idle mixture screws.
This is a great comment right here. Levi says, Ray, does this mean I'm going to see a dual quad white S10 in Triple Crown? That would be awesome, man. If someone ran a tunnel ram with dual
2 quadrajets on it,
that would be awesome.
It
Dual
would be.
quads.
You could do a dual. Oldsmobile made one. They actually had a 4 quad.
So you would get a but that would only be the one weight break for the quadrajet. You wouldn't get 2 of them, right?
I don't think you would get a weight break for 2.
Yeah, you just get the one. But that would be cool, man. That would be good because that would really solve a lot of the bog issues because it would have a lot of pump shot right there. And yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I'd like to see that.
Well, and I'm kind of wondering now if you were, because they made a essentially a carburetor that was half of a quadrajet called a dual jet.
Yeah.
It was the front half. I wonder if you could run 2 of those on a tunnel ram.
Might. That would be kind of cool.
I mean, they're really small. I don't know why you would want to.
Well, run 4. What if you ran 4 of them?
That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. Look at your man in the background.
I know he's kind of bored. Are you done talking to your friends on the phone?
That's awesome. Buick Smith saying that he went to start the C20 the other day. No spark. Coil went out on my Pertronix Igniter 3. Have not put a new one on it yet. What's the likelihood the coil smoked the igniter set? I don't know, man. I can tell you right now, I'm not a fan of those Pertronix. They've left me on the side of the road so many times. I had one in my Volkswagen, and then I had a Pertronix in my Slant 6 because I just had one there. And then I was like, I'm just going to go to because all I had was points ignitions. I went back to my HEI setup that I had back in the 90s, and I've never had a problem yet. In fact, the original one that's in my green car is the same one that's been in there since I got the car back in 2017. It's the same setup. It's been almost 10 years.
Well, I'm like Shane. I'm not a fan of the Pertronix. The Pertronix was the simple thing for the points. The Gen X or millennial to get rid of the points.
Yep.
Right. I think the only reason those things are even exist is because points got so bad that you couldn't buy a decent set of points. So the only other option for some of those engines was the Pertronix.
Yep. And I tried it.
And I tell you what luck I had with them. It worked great until that magnet moves around.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And once it contacted the Hall effect sensor or whatever that is, it was over it.
Yep.
It was done. And I don't like those things. I would go with the tried and true HEI. I mean, they just work, especially for the amount of money that they are.
Yeah, or just even if you don't want to run an HEI, distributor, just get a distributor that has some sort of different, like a reluctor in it, and then put an HEI module on your fender with a decent coil that runs a full 12 volts and just leave it alone. It will run forever.
Well, that's the neat thing about the HEI modules. It'll accept. It was a magnetic pickup in the original distributor, but it will also work with a Hall effect.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really matter. It's just looking for an up and down clock pulse signal, and they will work with any one of them.
Yeah, they work great on all the Chrysler distributors, and you can actually just test it. So if I ever think the car's having a problem, I just have one, I spin it, and massive spark. And then I use a 1990s to 96, I believe, Ford coil. And the reason I do all this stuff is because I drive this car everywhere. So I want to be able to get parts at like an O'Reilly's or any other, maybe even a Circle K might even have a HEI module and a Ford coil at some point, I can get parts anywhere for it.
Okay. So first off, Racer Ray is saying, the later Q jets do have idle mixer screws. You just need to get the plugs out. I know that you have to knock the plugs out. What I'm getting at is the 75 base plate is is you don't have to do anything. It's just like the old school quadrajets, jets, and they work with the later quadrajets, jets. And it makes it much easier to use. Those things, when you knock the plugs out, got this funky little hex head on them that you can't really. They make a tool specifically just to adjust that thing. I hate them. I always take those dang things out and put a notch right in the middle of them, just so I can put a standard screwdriver in it. But I was just throwing that out there with the 75 base plate, because they will work with the later carburetors, and they have access to the screws, and they have a regular screw just like the old ones.
So this is also right here. Have you ever seen a Q-Jet with the secondaries blocked off in the top cover?
I have. Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen that.
You remember I told you in the smog malaise era days that they used to make a 455 two barrel?
Yes.
It didn't have the Rochester, like the I can't remember what that one was called, the small little two barrel. But that was the first iteration of the dual jet. It was a complete quadrajet with cast openings for the secondaries. They were just completely cast aluminum.
Yeah.
And it was just the front half. So that was the 455 two barrel carburetor.
Someone's asking, are the Pertronix HEI modules any good? The one I have has a rev limiter. So is it Pertronix makes an HEI module? Is that what it is?
I'm sure that's what that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I literally run an AC Delco one that's from like a new old stock. It's just a black one. And I don't know. I couldn't tell you because it just works. And that way I don't ever have to worry about it. I paid it was in an old AC Delco box. It was from 78 or 77. And it was $90, but I've never had to worry about it.
Yeah, I've only had one Pertronix and I didn't have any luck with it.
I've had a lot of them.
I've never used an HEI module from Pertronix. Matter of fact, the only aftermarket HEI module I've ever bought was the MSD one with the higher dwell.
Mm.
And it I didn't see any difference in it.
I've seen when these things first came out, because I had my Volkswagen, I had a 009 distributor and it had points. I got one of those Pertronix and this is back in the 90s when they first came out. I put one in it and it ran for about a year, and then it smoked out, and then I stopped running them, and then I was working at a shop where we were putting those in cars, and man, they were just coming back left and right. Then they went to the Pertronix 2, and then they did this new upgrade, whatever. But then what you said is exactly what I would see, is that you would set it with that little plastic bar that was non-magnetic. You would lock it down, and then as you would rotate it, you could almost see that thing slightly wiggle just from the magnetic pull on it. And then as it would be running and driving, it would come back over. It would come back for a tune-up car, like, hey, my car's running bad. You would grab it and look at it. That thing, it would be bent. It would be bent over, getting close to it. So then you would have to realign it. And literally every single one that I had touched, because it had just been driving. It got hot, it bent over, and then fried itself. And just
was done.
Yeah. Now those
magnets hit that, because it's a flying magnet system. As soon as those magnets hit that pickup coil, they're done.
And here's the thing. I'm not talking bad about Pertronix. Please understand this. If you're relying on your car to drive it every day, and this is your daily driver, I personally wouldn't do it. If it's a car that you're going to start up and drive it on the weekends, maybe 4 times a month, the Pertronix will probably last 5 or 6 years, and you'll never have a problem with it. It's when you're getting up and you're starting it up 4 or 5 times a day to go from here to go get, groceries, go to work or whatever. That's probably when you're going to have an issue with. That's what I noticed.
So I'll tell you the problem I have with the Pertronix. And if it's a cruiser hot rod, knock yourself out, right?
Yeah.
If it's a daily driver, that thing is an absolute pile of crap for daily driver. And I'll tell you why. Like Shane was saying, when you start it up 4 or 5 times a day and you go somewhere, it's the one time it doesn't start, and you go down to the parts store and you can't get one.
Exactly.
And then you got to figure out how to get the car home. And you got to order one from the few places that you can get them.
Exactly.
I like the factory stuff just for the sake of, I'm having a problem. I can pull into the parts store. I tell them what I need. They generally have it.
Yep. And you guys know that I drive my car everywhere. Me and my kids get in the car and we drive it to Dallas, Texas to go see our family all the time. If I have a problem, I want to be able to get parts for it, not have to park it there, get an Uber back, come and get my truck and trailer, come and get it, or get a AAA to come and get it, put me in the parking lot and order parts from a hotel and get them overnighted. I've done that before and it sucks. I'll never do that again.
So right below this is Michael Schmidt saying Pertronic's reputation commentary. A distributor curve specialist was on the forum the other day, and he said he tells customers he will not install them or work on them. They are sketch, makes him look bad. I'm right there with him. I mean, those things, just like any other ignition component, when you start talking electronic distributors, there's one common thing they all have in common. Running fine, park it, get back in. 5 minutes later, it won't start. There's no backfires, there's no farts or pops. It just literally, it's like it doesn't have an ignition system.
Yep.
And that's when they fail, right? So I don't know. That the rule of thumb used to be you go to the junkyard, you grab an extra HEI module out of anything, you throw it in the glove box, and you have some of that grease that goes under them, the heat transfer grease. Yeah, no, not dielectric. It's heat transfer.
Oh, heat sink. Yeah, heat transfer. Yep.
And you throw that in there, and then you just wait for yours to fail. But like usually, it's like hundreds of thousands of miles.
Yeah.
So
if you keep them cool, that's why if you put them on the fender, like I put them on the Dart, I put it on the fender, and I go get a 1986 or 1996 Chevy Blazer. They have these little aluminum heat sinks. Yeah. And they literally almost fit. You have to do a little modifications, but man, you put those on there, and that thing will keep that module. I've actually tried to burn it up. I turned the key on and just left it on, unplugged the coil. I wanted to see how hot it would get just sitting there. And you could feel it. It was getting slightly warm, but because that heat sink is so good, it would never overheat. So I don't even worry about it anymore. And if you put that heat sink just a little bit off the fender, so that way it's not getting heat from like the steel, it will literally never get hot because there's air flowing underneath it. And it's just
okay. I don't know if you knew this, but like the Buick invented the HEI distributor. Okay. I know that it sounds, Dallas is, patting himself on the back, yeah, yay. But no, really, the very first cars that came with them was a Buick, right? Okay. And then the following year, everybody else in General Motors. It worked flawlessly on the Buicks. It was when they went to the other General Motors applications that it didn't work as well, because the Buick had the distributor in the front, right behind the fan, and then in the back on a Chevrolet, and in the back on an Oldsmobile, and in the back on a Pontiac. And the air was obstructed by the carburetor. And then what they do, they build the firewall around the distributor. So now it's got no airflow in there whatsoever. And that's what ended up usually killing those modules.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And now Dylan Levi saying he'll be disappointed if a dual quad Q-Jet setup did not show up for Triple Crown. That sounds wicked cool. I bet you it would sound really awesome too.
Oh, could you imagine that? Whoa, it would be like double I like this right here. I couldn't get condensers to last long enough for the points to fail. So a DuraSpark and HEI swap all my stuff. I'm telling you right now, I believe it or not, I never had a condenser ever fail on me. It was literally the points would have melted every single time.
All right.
Oh, here we go. So Hippie Long saying that knock wood, my Pertronic works just fine. Stock 273. Like I said, you don't drive it probably every day. Maybe you do. But maybe they've come around. But I can tell you right now, I've been on the side of the road, and I was at a light just idling, and all of a sudden the car just went and shut off, just like that. And then there I am in traffic, 2 lanes over from the side, having to push your car up, and you're get over to the side of the road, and you're just like, you're that guy now,
And these guys are talking about how hard it would be. Custom setup and sheet metal intake for a Triple Crown build with 2 quadrajets on it.
No.
Holly has that high ram with a carburetor intake on the top. I'm almost certain you could mill that out and just put 2 quadrajets on it. Or just 2 Quadrajet adapters.
Yeah, I was just going to say they have adapters. Just flip them over. They have the Quadrajet to like a 4-barrel, 4 square.
Yeah.
And then just flip it around.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. The high ram with 2 Quadrajets. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have it. Dylan, you can have it. You're building an LS motor.
Yes. There you go. That's exactly right. Dylan could have that right there. You want to learn carburetors? Come right out with your guns blazing.
Yeah, I probably got 2 Quadrajets we can put on there. Buick Smith says, Dallas, I know you could use some good Chrysler intakes on big block Buick with spacers. Do you know of any Chrysler or any other intakes to use on the small block Buick 350 with spacers? No, I don't. I have a what is the Mopar Performance M1? Is that what it is for like the B intake manifold? Is it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, B is the A383 400, right? 361, 383, 400 is the B engine.
Yes. Yeah. And then
I have one of those intake manifolds. It's an M1. It's set up for a Quadrajet. You're supposed to be able to use a spacer on those for a big block Buick, but I was just looking at it today, how similar it looks to my 300 intake manifold with 350 Buick heads. So I wouldn't mind setting it up there and taking a gander at it.
Yeah. Michael Schmidt, what this is that the module is just a dumb animal. Literally, it's just an electronic box. It gets a signal and then it sends a spark. So, and we're putting the module. We're not the whole distributor. We're just using the module, and we're using another distributor that's got a Hall effect or even just some reluctor to trigger the module that's outside the distributor. So yes, technically, it wouldn't matter if it was 8, 12, 6, or whatever. It wouldn't make any difference. Actually, the less cylinders, the better it runs because there's less pulses per revolution. So the coil has more time to store energy. That's the reason why I use the Ford coils. The Ford coils they're the closest to like an MSD style coil. And in fact, that's where MSD got it from, was from them. And the coils are very efficient. So they work really well. Plus, there's all these aftermarket type of coil coolers for those that you can put on there and then keeps them nice and cool. But yeah, it doesn't make any difference. Dang it, now you got me thinking. So there it is. He's thinking about it now.
You know what? I should probably go on a limb here and say, you know what? If you show up with a dual Quadrajet, we'll give you the weight break. Like, just do it. I want to see it because you still got to get it to work. That's the hard part.
Yeah. Oh, Heavens Mopars is here. Huh. Nice to see you.
I'm sorry. I fasted all day so I could do an MRI. That didn't happen. And I'm like dying of thirst.
Yeah. My tea's just not hitting right today. It's like I got cotton mouth right now for some reason. So it's just not working.
Well, today I put a few accessory pieces on the What If 300. I was going to put some valve covers on it. And then I don't know. I got lost in a loop of stuff trying to make it happen. But I'm just going to put some 350 Buick valve covers on the thing and call it good.
So Michael Schmidt saying great tech, lots of condenser problems spent this week. YouTube leaving how to bench test some of them and measure microfarads. Awesome, sweet, man.
Microfarads, yeah. So
microfarads.
Yeah, the only way to really troubleshoot one of those, to like test one, is with a thing called a Huntron tracker. And it has a positive and negative, and it actually induces a voltage into it, because that condenser is essentially just a capacitor, right? And what you want to see that capacitor do, a capacitor charges and then discharges.
Yeah.
Right?
Very fast.
You want to see it retain the charge and dump it. So when you hook it up to the Huntron tracker, it actually gives you a shape on there of a circle, because you're inducing a voltage and it's just dumping the same voltage, right? So it just creates a circle on the Huntron tracker. If you look at it with a multimeter, generally what you will find is it will just start to increase in resistance,
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll get to a point, because you're not inducing any voltage, you're just reading across the circuit. It literally just goes almost infinite. So you can't really tell if it's working correctly or not. You can test that it's functional, at least to the charge point.
So, no, I'm going to say we're not going to do this because we're not going to do a 100-pound weight break per a Q-Jet.
We'll just give you the Q-Jet weight break for if you show up with 2 Q-Jets on there, we'll give you the Q-Jet weight break.
That's exactly right. So because I can already see it now. Someone's going to show up with 4 Q-Jets, you know what I mean? Have them
That
all
would be-
pinned off.
It would be awesome. Like, think about it. They're getting a hell of a deal on that. Just if they get a 100-pound weight break for having 1 Q-Jet, they're going to get a 100-pound weight break for having 2 Q-Jets on there.
Yeah.
And that has the potential to run with, 2 Hollies on a tunnel ram.
Yeah.
So
So that's pretty good. I'm with him. One, you only get the 100-pound, not per Q-Jet. You just get the 100-pound weight break on it.
But I just want to see somebody do it. Really, that's what I want to see the most.
Me too. I think that would be cool, man. I would.
When Buick came out with the new big block Buick, which was in '67, that was the first thing they introduced was a dual quad intake. Because you remember the old ones had a dual quad. The 425 had a dual quad, right, from the factory.
Uh-huh.
And when they introduced the new big block Buick, the 430, they had a dual quadrijet intake manifold that never made it to production. There was 2 made. Right, I think I told you this. There's 2 made. There's one in the museum, or not the museum, the parts thing that comes up every year for the Buick Nationals, and then there's one at the bottom of a lake somewhere. And I'm going to find that. That's one thing that I will do before I die. I will
Go check that out.
I'm going to resurrect that boat. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, don't tell anyone where it's at, but we'll go do that. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 100 pounds per weight break. Yeah. So here's my thing on this, dude, is that Clint says this right here. He says, how about 100 pounds for the first one and 20 pounds for every Q-Jet after? I look at it like this. You're going to have 2 Q-Jets. So you're going to get the tunnel ram effect. So you're going to get all the extra, mid-range power that the tunnel rams make, all the extra torque, everything. Plus, you're getting an extra 100 pounds. So you're already getting 100 pounds. No more extra weight.
You know what? Maybe we should come up with another trophy to get out at No Name Nationals. But if somebody does this, I'd like to give out a trophy called All the Bogs, right?
Right. That would be a good one, right? How many Q-Jets can they make it go down the track?
Yeah, I got all the bogs.
All the bogs. So here we go. Now, this is actually really good. Wondering if I should put flamethrowers. Yes, absolutely. Always put flamethrowers on. I don't need to read any more. Put flamethrowers on it. I love them. Everybody loves them. They're bitching. Just do it. Yes.
I don't need a candy cane and 2 Barracudas. Man, I don't know, man. I think that might be totally worthy of just like if you're bringing that much stuff, you have 1 for each individual event: burnout competition, Triple Crown, bracket race.
I think both the Barracudas are going to be in Triple Crown. I think that's the whole thing. So I think they're going to have 2 drivers. They're going to be like SSR. They're going to have one as the ringer. The other one's going to run blocker.
Let's hope not to draw each other first round.
Right. Just like us.
Yeah.
Remember that? We drew each other. Remember that?
Yes, that was the very first heads up 28-10-5 race. And then, well, I guess it got better because then we had to redraw because there was a missing chip, thank God.
Yeah.
But then I drew Michael Yielding, who had me covered by a 2.5 seconds.
That's so bad, dude. I was like, the only one I didn't want to get was you, and that's who I got was you. I was like, dude, it's always the same.
Rigged. Yeah, this is rigged. Wait, we were in charge of this. How do we rig this ourselves? But yeah, you know what? I'm gonna look this up real quick because I know this picture's out there, dude, and I got to show you guys this.
Yeah, with Q-Jets. Yeah, I do remember seeing a rail with dual Q-Jets. Don't remember who it was. This is right. Q-Jet Racing bogs out. Yeah, right here he's saying that he has a picture of a street rod running homemade tunnel ram with 2 Q jets. Well, it's got to be out there then. While he's doing that, dude, I'm telling you, if I could find 4 Holley 1920s that would actually work, I would do it. I would do it. But see, I don't have enough of them anymore. Like if Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage stopped throwing them out and just throw them in a pile, and actually gave them to me, I would probably do that. I would make
Dude,
one.
you should mail him a self-addressed box with like unlimited weight or whatever, and just have him fill it up and mail it to you.
Right?
Yeah,
Because
I'm looking for something right now that I know I've seen it before, and I was going to throw it up here but I cannot find it. Oldsmobile made a quadrajet intake manifold.
So Buick Smith saying, Dallas, there was a mag article in the late 90s that had all steel 70 GS on a tube chassis that ran a 455 with hogged out dual offie intake with dual Q jets. It was the fastest full steel Buick at the time.
And Offie still makes that intake manifold, but golly, you want to talk about money they want from manifolds now?
Right.
Dude, these guys want like your firstborn.
Well, because it's in California still. That's the problem. It's still in California.
You would think that the R&D for making that intake manifold would have, since it's the same manifold from 63 or whatever, it would have paid for itself by now.
Well, remember, California just lost 3 refineries. One of them, Valero, is actually losing a billion with a B dollars, so they can leave early at the end of January, and they're going to lose. California's going to lose almost like 18% of its fuel production, because remember, California's got to have its own special fuel. So anything that comes out of California is going to be literally double here pretty soon.
Huh. Well, Racer Ray here says that there's an old hot rod around that had a 428 Ford with a dual quad intake with 2 3.8 Buick turbo setups on it.
That's awesome.
That'd be nuts.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. I'm going to have one. I'm just going to have one 301 turbo on a slant 6.
You know what? Have you guys seen, or Hippie Long saying, have you guys seen Buff Del Campo and Kim's Valiant Del Camino? Dude, they should have called it the Buff Del Camino.
Buff Del Camino, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to get them to take it to No Name Nationals.
Dude, it looks good. I've been watching it. Right here. This one right here. The Del Camino.
Yeah.
The Del Camino.
Del Camino.
That's actually a really good name, man. They should use that right there. I'm going to take a snapshot of that, and I'm going to send that to them.
Del Camino.
Right there. I got it. Perfect. I'm going to send that to them. I'm going to tell them you should name it that. But I've been watching it. I think that looks really cool. I like the thought process behind that, because I was like, I let them play in the background when I'm working on cars or doing whatever, and I happened to look up and I'm like, is that a Valiant? And then I was like, holy crap, it is.
Well, Buick Smith is saying, Shane, does that mean that if I go to California and pick up the intake, it will be half price? Doubt it.
I doubt it, because remember, they have to pay for the fuel now to burn those furnaces, which now everything's going to be double.
Well, I'll tell you my Offenhauser thing. Okay, I found out that Offenhauser made an intake or valve covers for a 215 Buick. Okay, 215 Buick is the same as a 300 Buick. It's the same head pattern, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I one day started looking around, and I talked to Fab Race Mon Repeat, who runs a speed shop out in Norfolk, Virginia, right?
Okay.
And I called him, and he does Speed Oasis. And I said, hey, man, do you have a deal with Offenhauser parts? He's like, yeah. And I said, I've been looking for these valve covers, and I can't find any anywhere, but it says they're still available when you look them up by part number. And I said, but Summit has them listed for like $700 or $800, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that's kind of the price of those things. So he ended up calling like 20 different suppliers, and he found one that had some on the shelf from like the 1960s or 70s or something.
That's the good ones.
And he was like, this dude will take $500 for him. Like, do you want them? And I'm like, well, I want them, but do I want to drop $500 for him? I mean, that's a hell of a discount, but $500. Next thing you know, they show up on my front porch with like this letter on it that says like happy birthday.
Sweet.
Right. And I'm like, I called him like, dude, why'd you do this? And he was like, man, you need some kind of good thing going on now. And hopefully this is it. And I'm like, you're such a freaking great good guy. And that's a hell of a gesture. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I think we're all caught up. We're actually caught up.
I think so. There isn't too much chatting going on now.
Yeah. That's the first time. Normally I'm so far behind.
Well, let's ask Wyatt some stuff. Would you learn anything about carburetors today?
No, because I don't know what a carburetor is.
Oh, dude, I failed. Oh. I failed as a father.
My kids can teach you.
Did you learn about setting timing?
What is setting timing?
Man, you weren't in here for that either?
No.
Okay.
You got to do like a day where he goes out and like on the motorcycles, the kids have to the twins have to change their own oil to do the spark plugs, give it a carburetor tune up, and they have to do all that stuff. So,
well, you remember my motorcycle ended up at your house.
Yes.
Yeah, because my kids didn't ride them.
Oh man. So here we go. The question just for you.
Well, that's not a question. He's just saying that they make those valve covers for the 225 Oddfire. One of the Jeep Dauntless sites just had a dozen sets poured. They're around $450 per set. Oof. And then you're talking like it's got a quarter of the size of the ones I got, right?
Wow.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so you did order Cliff's QJet book and my new ultrasonic cleaner just arrived. Carb time. Hey, so there's one thing. When you disassemble that carburetor, look in Cliff's book and he'll point out to you. You can look at them, but it's kind of hard to describe where they're at on the carburetor when I'm just trying to do it out on my mind and then relate it to you. There's two things called idle down tubes. He shows you in the book how to get them out. You got to put like a wood screw or a decking screw into them, thread it in there, and then pull them out with a hammer. They're pressed into place, or a cat's paw. But put something down like a wooden stick or a stir stick for like paint and stuff.
Oh yeah, have to pry up on it. Yeah,
right. So it doesn't damage the aluminum, and they're hard to get out. When they do come out, you generally have to use heat, get them warm, and then pull it out. But that's where 99% of the Quadrajet rebuild, they don't work right. Problems is that right there. The idle down tube will get filled with moisture and it will corrode because the opening is only like 20 thousandths in the bottom of that.
Dude, this is great. Try marinating meat in the ultrasonic before you pour chemicals in it. I never thought of that.
It probably worked pretty good.
It would probably work really good.
It gets really hot.
Yeah. Steven says he's going to remind him to go pick up some awesome for his ultrasonic cleaner. Well, there you go.
Dude, LA is totally awesome. Works the best in the ultrasonic cleaner. Hey, one thing, Ray, when you go throw them in the ultrasonic cleaner, use like that LA is totally awesome and dilute the crap out of it and don't leave the carb in there any longer than like 5 minutes, right? So just turn it on, get it up to heat. Like mine says it in Celsius. I don't know why anybody uses the metric system on the heater, but mine says Celsius. So 40 degrees is what I get it up to before I even put anything in. It will eat the zinc chromate, zinc dichromate. I think that's what it is, right off that carburetor.
And so what's your mixture that you put the awesome 50-50?
I do a little 50-50. Yeah. But it will clean it and it'll clean it really good, but it will eat the zinc dichromate off lickety split. I mean, like the first thing you'll see, it'll start bubbling almost as soon as you put it in.
Yeah, mine I run 50-50 even my spray bottles when I clean things.
Yeah, that's what I do. I do it with, and here's Stephen Myrick is asking me that. I run mine 50-50. That I noticed that if you use aluminum in that ultrasonic cleaner and you use anything more harsh than 50-50, like say 30% water and 70% awesome, it will etch that aluminum serious.
When after I use the Awesome, I just rinse it off with water, then I blow them off. But that's like on steel nuts and bolts. When I use it on carburetors, I just literally, it's aluminum. I just rinse it off with water. I
rinse it, and then soak it usually. And then what I do is after it's soaking it in hot water, because you want that stuff to get pulled out, right?
Pulled off.
And you take it out and air it all off. And you don't want to leave it sitting in there, because that Awesome that's still in there will get in the water and then keep cleaning, right?
Mm-hmm. You got to dilute it. Exactly. So that's exactly what I do is I keep rinsing it off, and you'll feel it too, because the Awesome has like almost a slight film on it. And then when you start cleaning it, you'll feel that film go away, and that means it's diluted. Yep.
So here's something else too. Since you just got your ultrasonic cleaner, take all the small parts and put some carb cleaner in a jar or acetone in a jar. Put all your small parts in the jar and then fill it up like halfway, and then drop it into your ultrasonic cleaner in the jar with the lid on it. And what'll happen is ultrasonic cleaner is using transducers, right? And it'll travel through the liquid that's in there and then through the jar and into the acetone and clean those parts with the acetone inside the jar.
Here we go. Go ahead and read this one.
Evans Mopars, Z-bar bracket questions. Shane, I tagged you in my last video yesterday. My Z-bar isn't parallel and is binding. I may have the wrong trans ball bracket in 65 Dart GT. Was a 273 auto. Now it's a 344 speed. Golly, that sounds like a zinger right there. That thing would be fun. Yeah. Scott, why aren't you bringing that to run a Triple Crown?
Yeah. You know what? Then I'll go look at it. I'll look at your video. But yeah, I've had a problem with those too, is that when I put them in there, if it wasn't, because the ball goes from one side to the other and, to the body mount wasn't right, and it was at an angle like this, it will bind. And I've had that happen on mine.
Well, I've seen it generally. What I've seen in the past is when linkage binds for like a manual is usually because the motor mounts or the transmission mount is fragged and they sag, and it moves the engine out of
alignment. That's what I'm going to see the picture, because you'll see it where the Z-bars, if it's forward or back or up or down, you want to start with them parallel, because when you put load on it, if it's already like this and then it goes like this because it's under load, then it definitely will bind.
And you know what? Out of all the stuff that we're talking about here, every single one of those is like stack tolerances. You could throw them on top of each other and just make one big problem.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I was going to say Racer Race says, I've also heard of using Pine Sol. I've never heard of using Pine Sol in my ultrasonic. I don't think it does much. And it may a little bit, but I'm telling you, there's no point in buying anything else than that Awesome. I've tried so many things in that ultrasonic cleaner. I tried it with gas one time, gasoline, right? Because I was just so fed up with it not cleaning stuff. And I went to that LA's Totally Awesome and just get it nice and hot and up to like 40 degrees Celsius, which should be about like equal to, I don't know, 150 degrees Fahrenheit or US. I don't know. And then once you get it nice and hot, drop it in there, turn that sucker on. If it's got the zinc on it, you don't want to leave it in there more than like 5 minutes. But
what's funny about that is I turned you on to Awesome. And my wife is the one who turned it on to me, because she worked at the Home Depot, and she said that they would use that stuff to clean everything. And then she goes, why don't you try this? Because I was like, using all the carb cleaner and stuff. And I was like, I'll try it. And then I was just like, dude, this stuff works awesome. So I got rid of all the brake cleaner, and that's everything I use now is the Awesome stuff.
Well, so I'll tell you something interesting. I know something that works better. If you go to Lowe's, they got purple degreaser in a jug called Zep.
Oh yeah, Zep.
Industrial degreaser,
But
right?
it's so expensive.
It's not that bad. It will clean anything. The problem is you're trying to find something that's a balance. That stuff will no shit turn aluminum into something else,
Yes.
right? It just like literally disappears.
Yeah, and it makes it soft too. Yeah.
And if you get it like, if you heat up that stuff and put the aluminum in there, it's even worse. So I'm telling you, when it took me forever to find something that was a nice balance where I could put literally any kind of metal in there and it would come out clean and not destroyed. But I do know on a Quadrajet carburetor that zinc dichromate, because I had one that looked brand new and I was an idiot and I stuck it in there and just cleaned it. I thought I was just going to clean it, and it came out no more zinc dichromate on it. And I was like, damn it. Can't win.
Yeah.
But so Dan's Garage says, any idea what the cam specs were on the Little Red Express, rumored to be a purple shaft from a 340?
Yeah. Just Mopar Joe asked me this question almost a few years ago, and I have it in a Mopar book downstairs. It's in one of the engine building books. I don't remember off the top of my head, so I don't want to say it here because then we'll have 50 people correcting me. But I do have it. It's in a book. It's downstairs, and I don't remember it, so I apologize. But I can probably, what I'll do is I'll find it, and then I can tag it at the end of this. I'll just put it in the comments down below.
And you know what Uncle Tony said, there was like 3 different purple camshafts made for the small block. They were all called purple cam, but they all had different lift and duration.
Well, yeah, because they had the 509, the 440, the 484, and then they had like the 450 cam. But yeah, so basically it was just done by lift and then duration. But yeah, they technically were all purple cams. There was 3 numbers on it, but then they had some, and they were all like straight durations. There was then they made the more modern ones that had split durations on them. So it really comes down to what era you're looking for on the purple shaft. I would definitely always run a not a straight duration. I would get a dual split duration is what I would get.
So Racer Ray is saying, awesome on one-time use. No, I run it until it starts making stuff dirty. It will get like almost black looking.
Mm-hmm. And it still keeps,
I run it until
keeps cleaning.
Yeah, until I run it until it's, when you pull parts out, they start coming out dirty. And it's not like there will be clumps of grease or anything like that on it. It would just come out dirty because the stuff is so like dirtied up.
This is funny right here. Do not use awesome on your eyeglasses. It micro cracks it. I lost 2 pairs till I figured it out.
10-year user.
I'm a 10-year
You know, maybe that's what we should go after, is like, maybe we should get LA's Totally Awesome as a sponsor.
Yeah. I'm telling you guys, I was really working on Remflex, but they wanted no part of it because they already know how good they are. But I went over there talking to them, and I actually at PRI was trying to get them to help sponsor. But we got WAF Racing, we're good. But I was really trying to get Remflex to sponsor this. Yeah. I thought that would be cool.
We were talking about Remflex gaskets for like weeks.
Yeah.
Bobby Frizzell says that Pine Sol and ultrasonic cleaner will clean anything. I've never tried it.
I never tried that. Never even heard of it.
No, but I know Awesome works.
I agree with this.
Don't get Zep in your eyes. Yes,
it burns.
It does. And then Hot Rod Guy Garage Russell says the Zep purple degreaser is like $53 for 5 gallons. That's what I thought. And replaces about 15 gallons of purple power, so it is cheaper in the long run.
Yeah, I remember it was really expensive to buy, but I like the Awesome because of the Zep stuff, man. It just was. I remember it was just killing things. Like I would clean things, and like when I have a little brush that I would scrub in the corners. When it started taking out the bristles on my brush, I was like, "Well, that."
I'll tell you, it's something even more wicked, man. I had a parts cleaning brush that had an aluminum collet on the end that compressed all the bristles together.
Yes.
Okay. I left that sitting in there, and it was floating on top of the Zep, which was like no water, right? And I was using rubber gloves like you use for like chemical gloves to clean stuff, because it will. Don't get me wrong, that Zep is some serious stuff. If you're cleaning cast iron or steel or anything like that, that is the thing to use. It is way better than Uncle Tony's degreaser, the easy off stuff. This thing you can literally dip a cylinder head in there, pull it out, it'll be completely clean, and all the paint will be gone. Right? That thing ate the brush at the line at where it was floating, and when I picked the brush up, the whole fucking thing fell apart, or the whole thing fell apart. And it was like it didn't even have the aluminum collet on it or anything, right? I couldn't believe what I had seen. I mean, it literally just ate at the line where it was floating. Just ate the whole aluminum collar right off of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny because mine had a little collet right where the brushes are at, and I remember the brushes kept falling out, and then the whole thing just fell apart. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just not going to use this stuff anymore. Because
I put an HEI distributor in there for 2 weeks, and I opened up the bucket to take it back out, and it wasn't even in there.
Wow.
And I was like, I know that thing was in here, and then I went sifting through the crap at the bottom, and I found the 2 brass bushings inside that go inside the distributor.
At that point, it might as well just be a dissolver at that point.
It was for those things. Danny Boyd says, when I used to have to peel onions, Zep Powerhouse Spray or Comet Cleanser were the only things that would get the smell out of my hands.
Yeah.
Man, the Zep will get your hands out of your hands.
That's right. That's right. I like this one. This is a good one.
Who is ready to start on their spouse's Triple Crown build? Because I am not. I'm enjoying making the ramp truck ready. Dude, I'm telling you, man, that ramp truck was pretty much, I mean, I'm glad you're on it, dude. I hope you show up with that thing this year.
Yeah. I'm with you on this, man. I like the 90% isopropyl to clean your plexiglass bong. Exactly. That's exactly what. And then I would put in the little beads in it, and you would shake it up, and it would clean it all out. Oh, I don't know I have no idea what I'm talking about. There you go. This is all you.
Oh, Dallas, speaking of finned aluminum valve cover, someday I will rebuild my Coppola furnace, and I'm going to pour me some vertical finned covers for a 455. That sounds pretty awesome. I actually, so for the small block, if you got like a 215, 300, 340, you can actually go get a pretty decent looking fin valve cover off of any of the 90s Rovers with like a 3.9 to 4.6 liter Rover. And they got cast aluminum valve covers that got fins in them, but they're like kind of weird looking. And then they got a big filler neck on them. They look very, it's like if somebody from today tried to make something that was nostalgic. That's what it looks like.
This is actually good right here. The last time I heard Remflex, we were also talking switch pitch. There it is. 1 hour and 38 minutes into. But I like this one right here. This is really good. Don't use awesome straight out of the bottle for black streaks on your RV. Ding, ding, ding. You will get white streaks and bare aluminum. Ask me how I know.
Man, and right above this, a Hot Rod Guy Garage. The Zep is aggressive, but when I'm breaking out a water-soluble degreaser, I want aggressive. He's right, because that's the only thing. You remember when they used to have parts cleaning tanks where you could get the solvent, that they would come to your house and give you new solvent?
Yep.
And that stuff worked great till the EPA got involved, and then you just got vomit out of a brush, right? This stuff reminded me of like how that stuff used to clean. It cleans so good.
Yes.
And but he's right. It is aggressive. And if you add, like, let's say you cut it more than 50-50, you put 70% water and 30% of Zep. Like, I think that's the recommendation on it. I think valve covers and intake manifold in there. And the intake manifold came out looking brand new, like it had no paint on it, right? But the valve covers came out where the water and the degreaser had kind of settled. Yeah, and it literally rusted a line around it, right? I was like, holy crap. And it makes any steel very sensitive to rusting when you use that stuff on it.
Because it takes out all the oil. That's why.
That's probably why. It's working.
Yeah, it's taking the oil out of the metal, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, and Moparcade don't play. Okay, she's in the chat now.
No.
And I think she was talking about what last week, saying she's coming back to maybe run Triple Crown next year.
Is she?
Yeah, that's what she said. She's got a duster. She wanted to run Triple Crown.
Has she been at the No Name Nationals?
She was there last year.
Okay.
She didn't
Maybe
play.
maybe I didn't see her.
I saw her. She was dancing around doing a bunch of little TikTok videos for No Name Nationals.
Oh, well, I don't watch TikTok, so.
Me neither, but I asked her what she was doing, and I think that's what she said, something like that. Left turn dodge. It used to be that Castrol Super Clean was a purple cleaner that I would get at the Walmart. They had another brand called Purple Power.
Yes.
Purple Power was like half the strength for 3/4 the price.
Yep.
Yes. The Zep degreaser, though, is the end all. It's like, you had your Purple Power and then your Castrol Super Clean and then Zep. Like, that's not even on the screen. So Zep, that purple degreaser from Zep is no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you used to get those little 1 gallon cans, and it was like a carburetor dunk, and it had the little tray. I used to love those things. Yeah. I still have a can now, but I brought it with me, and I would put like Zep in it or whatever it was and make it work, and I would heat it up. But man, that thing's rusted out, but it had a little tiny tray in it. It was so bitchin' for nuts and bolts.
I have one now. And I tell you what I found is on that, it's acidic too. Don't put your float in there if it has aluminum arms on it, because it won't have any arms after it cleans for a week or two. Because it will eat the aluminum off the float.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Fabrice Mod Repeat says, lost the aluminum coffee pot to the Purple Zep. So there you go.
Yeah, that's the best part about it.
Buick Smith says, to me, the Rover valve covers look like they were made by AI. I'm telling you, it's just, there's something about them. They're a thinned aluminum valve cover, and you'd think they'd just be flying off the shelf and put on every freaking Buick 215, 300, 340 on the planet. But in reality, there's something about them that just hits people wrong. I don't know what it is. I wish I could figure it out. And me and Clint were talking about this today because he was going to use them, and he's like, I think I got a way to make them look good. And I'm like, I don't know what technically there's like 7 fins on top. They're like a raised fin, and they would look so good, except for they got this big oil filler neck that looks like you've attached the funnel to the valve cover.
Yes, I've seen that. Yep.
And it makes it look ugly, but that's easily cut off, and you can just put a vent breather there or something, right?
Yeah.
But the way that these 7 fins are shaped, there's one in the center that V's down, and that's what Rover used for their logo. But it makes everything geometrically off. And it's like, since it's off a little bit, it makes the whole valve cover completely wrong looking, right? And that's the best way to describe it. It's like, I guess it's some of the artistic eye that the human being has that, what makes fin valve covers look so good? They're good on anything, really, right?
Yeah.
But if you jack the lines up and you change the geometry of the lines, they don't look as good. I think the only way that they look all right is when they put the moon breathers in them, Like, that's the only time I've seen them broken up that look okay.
Levi, yes, this has been answered. And yes, you can run Lexan out the back windows for the cage. So yeah, have fun. Just going through because we're getting down. It's already 8:44. So I'm trying to see if there's any questions. Oh, one more time here. Guys, go check out WAF Racing. They're a sponsor here. They're the ones that allow us to do this for free for you guys. That's why we turn off all the commercials. We don't do anything like that. So they're the ones who make this happen. Go over there and check them out. I'm not sure what specials he's running right now, but I'll have something for next week. I'm sorry.
Loutburn says, I'm just stopping by to make sure nothing illegal is going on. Nah, not tonight. We're just talking about if you needed to get rid of a dead body, throw it into some purple Zep.
If you need to get anything by throwing it into purple Zep.
Anything, huh?
See, camping gives you our trackside. Just say, yeah, I'm with this man. This is he's probably talking about No Name Nationals, but camping gives you our trackside. Just saying, I love staying at the track. I could go and get a hotel room, but it's so much more fun just being there the whole time. You know, that's what I'm there for, is the experience. You know.
Well, that's what's cool about the No Name Nationals is where you can camp there. It allows the experience to last for that entire 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, speaking of that, don't forget, guys, that that the discount is going to be ending at the end of this month. Remember that it's at the end of January is when the discount's ending. The only way to get your discount back through Edelbrock is to be registered. John Wilburn and Alex, they're working together. There's going to be a new list being put together, and there's not too many people have actually already registered. And so just remember that if you're looking to buy stuff, you got to register for the No Name Nationals, and that is the only way to get the discount right now. At the end of this month is when it goes away.
Also, one thing that Moparcade Don't Play says, this year at No Name Nationals, she'll have her kids with me, so hotel is the plan. One-eyed cat, that's so generous for you to offer, because he was going to save her a spot.
Oh, okay.
One thing I will say, Kay, is like Shane and I last year brought our kids and we never even saw a hotel, right? Like you just let them run amok 1980s style and just tell them to stay inside the racetrack and don't get run over, right?
Yeah. And how old are your kids? Because my kids they started coming 3 years ago, so they were 7. Yeah, and they were literally running around on scooters the whole time and with helmets. And they've come every single year. Cash has been there at every single No Name Nationals, and we've camped at the track. And it's a super family friendly event. And my kids, there's lots of kids there, and they just literally, it's like the 1980s. They're like little lemmings running everywhere. It's just awesome.
Oh yeah, and we just kind of keep track of them, and they'll be all right. But I mean, I think it's good we get a good group of kids running around there that are not a bunch of knuckleheads, and it's a good time for everyone.
Oh yes, I agree with this. The only issue camping at No Name Nationals last year was the first night the PA was left on, so music played all night. It did. It played all night. I do remember that.
Well, also, any Racer and any 2 a.m. cam break-ins planned for this year. Also, I saw Racer Ray asked a question about awesome. One last awesome question. Does it freeze at 50-50? That I could not tell you.
I don't know.
It has not frozen my garage, but in my garage, it's probably 20 degrees warmer than it is outside. So we've only had a few days below zero. And it did not freeze that I know of.
I have some in my trailer, and just when I take to the track, and it hasn't frozen, but I don't know. I mean, it's in a trailer, but it's not heated, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure eventually at some negative cold temperature that stuff would freeze.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, I still think this is the best. That's the best. I remember the PA, because I remember waking up going, man, they've already got the music on. Shane, how do you get the discount after registering? How do we use the discount? Do we need to call Edelbrock Group when ordering, or is there a code online? I have not had the discount before. Okay, this is how it works. We actually have our own representative. His name's Alex. So whenever, what you do is you can either call him directly, or we have his email address. And then John, as soon as you register, John will tell him who is registered with your name. And then you call him up, and then you get the discount there. And it's a group discount. So anybody who's registered for the No Name Nationals gets it. And last year, man, you guys got up. You actually went, I think you're starting at Engine Builder, and I think they almost hit WD pricing. So if the group gets a lot of sales, everybody goes to WD pricing, and there's times where people have bought stuff, and you'll see it on Summit or even ATEC. If you get ATEC, let's just say something is 700 on Summit, on ATEC it's 650. They're buying them for like almost 550. So it's a hell of a discount.
Yeah, One-Eyed Cat says we did a 2 p.m. cam break-in last year. Thank you, No Name Nationals. And you guys did it like 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. cam break-in. That was the longest 20-minute cam break-in ever.
There was so much experience there. There was you. There was I. Who else was there? Who was the one holding the fan?
I'm just amazed. We actually had it running.
Yes.
And this thing was missing like a 3/8 vacuum plug in the intake manifold. I was just impressed we actually got it to run.
Yeah.
It was like, man, this thing is acting so weird. It's like the carburetor doesn't do anything.
Yeah. I kept adjusting it. Nothing was changing. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to I got the timing right. And I was
just going to let it run for 20 minutes. And then it somehow it ran out of fuel. And I think the only thing I could think of is it got warm enough that it leaned it out so much that it wouldn't run.
Yes.
That's what I think happened.
I agree. Yeah. And then we found it. I remember putting my hand back there and I was like, dude, dude, there's a big hole here. You forgot to put a plug in here.
Right.
And then remember,
just so we don't look like idiots, right? Like Shane and I don't look like idiots. This thing was on the back of the intake manifold underneath the carburetor bowl.
Yes.
Right. And so it was like impossible to see. It was one of those things that there's a reason why Don accidentally left it out. It's because you don't see it once you put it all on there.
And we didn't build the engine. The car came to us and goes, hey, will you help us start this? Yeah, no problem. We'll help you out. And then when it was after we couldn't get it running again, I started feeling around in there and my pinky went literally right into the hole. Bloop. And I'm like, oh, I think I found it, Dallas.
I was just amazed we got to run it. We were trying everything, hand over the carburetor, giving it all kinds of fuel. Like, man, everything just is really lean.
Yeah, right. Like I couldn't. I was like, and I even said, I was like, these things are not doing anything. Like I could screw them all the way in, screw them all the way out. Didn't change anything.
What is that thing called? The carb cheater. And so we had the ultimate carb cheater. Exactly. A big 3/8 hole drilled in the intake manifold, or actually a 3/8 pipe plug. So it's like a 1/2 hole.
Yeah. So Steven's saying, yeah, the Edelbrock discounts are great. It really is. Yeah, WD would be great, and we're getting close. And then she just said that she just ordered an Edelbrock. Yeah. So if I'm telling you right now, if you go for the No Name Nationals, we'll get you a setup with it's Alex. So it's ASO at Edelbrock.com. And if you're registered for No Name Nationals, you get the discount. And it's a massive discount.
He's saying John gives us the email for Alex. Then I don't think John gives you anything. I think you just call Edelbrock, right?
Yes.
Hey, so basically, I need to talk to Alex. So I'm part of No Name Nationals.
Yeah. So basically, John gives the as people register. So right now he's already talking with Alex about getting the names that are going to be for at the end of this month. And then every day that someone registers, because it hits square, as soon as it hits square, John calls them up. So you can. Obviously, there's going to be a time difference there, but if let's just say you register for the Nationals at noon, and then John puts it in at 2, that same day you could be ordering parts at say 4 or 5 and getting the discount for it. It's literally as soon as they can put it in and get it going.
Oh, so here's what One-Eyed Cat says. He said it had a plastic plug in it that should have been brass, melted into bubble gum.
Oh, that okay, makes sense. I can see that.
More sense because it literally was running and all of a sudden it just literally died, and it was like, what in the world?
That makes total sense. But just to give you Steven saved $60 on his valve body. That's huge. That's huge. So
well, I remember looking at big block Buick sets of heads last year for the discount, and I want to say the discount on them was like, I want to say almost 10% off the heads, right?
Yeah.
So like $300 off the set of heads.
Yeah, and it's getting better too. Each time it gets better. It gets better. And also, too, yes, Stephen, thank you for this. This is also a reminder. Go register for the No Name Nationals. Remember, John
Yeah.
always says before Memorial Day, the more people that do it before Memorial Day, the better stuff we get. We're going to have, or I guess this year we're going to have a concert. Maybe we'll have the movie come back, but you got to register as soon as possible because remember, this comes out of his pocket. And this is kind of like a almost a break even type of deal because he's got to have a lot of money coming out. And a lot of people wait to the very end to register. So register as fast as you can.
Well, and that goes to say also, if you plan on being in Triple Crown or winning a race or whatever this year, you can't do it without being registered. So that means you're going to do it later. So the sooner you can do it, the easier it is on John.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I got to tell you, man, I'm working on some really, really, really bitchin' prizes for not only Triple Crown, but are we going to do the, hey Dallas, are we going to do your special bracket race this year, or are we going to just do match race?
It's not mine. John's going to do the 3-pedal party, and it's going to be
okay.
modeled after that. Just try it out to see how it goes.
No. I'm talking about the type.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. That style.
Oh, got it. Okay. Just I didn't want to give it up. That's why I was asking. Okay, so we're gonna have the 3-pedal party. We're gonna have a Triple Crown. We're gonna do some match racing then, right?
Correct.
Perfect. That's all. That's a big Saturday. I'm telling you right now, that would be a big Saturday.
And Don says that someone recorded his expression when the motor just died off. Priceless.
I saw it. I looked at him.
I was like, "Oh no!" I mean, there was like probably 4 of us. Like, no. It was. You know what? I just realized it was me and you and Jason Falk, right?
That's right. It was Jason. That's right. Who it was.
Jason worked on everybody's stuff there. He did the Junkyard D's heads, cam, and intake. Yep. He worked with Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage trying to get that 833 back up. And then, Jason worked on everybody's stuff, man. So if you didn't think Jason was an awesome dude from Indirect Connection, isn't that him?
Yeah.
I think so. Indirect Connection.
And here's the thing. He is. I helped him get his stuff running so that way his wife could race with the Holly 1920 carburetor. So we all worked on everybody's stuff, but he was a true trooper. He was the one that was holding the water on that radiator to keep that thing from overheating the whole time. And
it's a suck job. I've done it on my own stuff because you can't just put the water in one place and it work fine. You got to actually move it around and keep the whole area cool. And the water is the only thing that works really well because it transfers so much heat so quickly.
Yeah, it's so dense. I believe every Friday there is going to be a beginner's bracket. So I can't speak for John, but I believe that every year there's been a beginner's bracket. So I'm going to say yes, there's going to be a beginner's bracket on Friday because that's the whole thing about this is bringing new people to the track. So I'm going to say yes, they're probably going to have that.
Dylan saying, is there any rules on taking ramp trucks with trailers down the track? You can take the ramp truck down the track.
Trailer.
Yeah. Jason from Indirect Connection says, I paid for 2 cars. Hopefully I find a new job that lets me off. Dude, I hope you find a new job too, because that pretty much sucks. They gave you like a 15-day notice their company was closing down.
I thought it was like 2 days, 3 days.
You know what? I do know somebody up there. Aren't you way up there in the Pacific Arctic area, whatever? I don't know, not the Pacific, but the Arctic Northern Territories. I can't remember where they're at. Maybe they're in Wisconsin. The guy I know of runs a trucking business out of Minnesota near Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Well, man, we're getting down to that time.
Bobby Frizzell was saying, I wish the stick shift stuff was heads up. Bracket racing sucks the fun out of it. One,
it's gonna be different.
It's not what you think.
Yes.
And 2, we do have heads up stick shift stuff. All you got to do is show up.
Yes.
It's called
match racing. It's called
or match racing.
I
told you we were match racing my Buick against your Ford. Why aren't?
Yeah. So you got a heads up race. Come on, man. 2 out of 3. So, anyways, man, we've only got a few more minutes left, man. This has gone by so fast. Look at him. Look at the background. He's awesome.
I know he's waiting for me to get off, and I just picked him up tonight. I'm supposed to have him week on week off basis, but tonight was after the holidays, so today was the first day of school, so I get him back finally, and I only get my 4 days with him, and then so that's what we got here.
Don't forget to get rid of any of your problems. Use what was it called?
LA's totally awesome. WAF Racing.
You know,
No, I think it's the
No Name Nationals.
purple.
Oh yeah,
something.
Purple Zep degreaser. If
Yeah.
you want to eliminate dead bodies in your life,
Just pull that out and then just soak
So
it.
Jason even drove to Spokane to help him out. We'll get some vehicles running. I think that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That's what the whole community is about. So
well, and Jason's a good part of it, and I'm glad that to even just be even considered in the same category as that guy. But
and he comes in here. Look, you still haven't sent me your damn phone number. It's right here. slantdailygarage@yahoo.com. Send me your phone number. If you don't get it by this weekend, I'm going to sell them to someone else, man. I'm telling you, send me your phone number. Damn, it's been like
Hippie Long says spectator tickets also available at the gate? ? Spectator tickets are available at the gate.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're going to be getting out of here. You got anything last little closing? Got anything going out? Any videos coming up real quick?
No, nothing yet. I'm just starting to get the What If 300 together. I got the intake manifold back from the guy that was I had him. I was going to have him welded up, but he had a stroke. So now I'm back to trying to figure out how to fix the cracks.
Yeah.
And it might be JB Weld. But I didn't want to do that. I'd rather
It's just
weld
gotta
it.
run.
I wanted to weld it first.
Yeah.
And that way I didn't have to go back and JB Weld it, right? Like I could use JB Weld on the inside and smooth everything out, but once you get that shit on there, you can't go back and weld it.
Yeah. It's true.
So I wanted to weld it first.
For me, I got no videos coming out. I've been playing drums and just enjoying not making videos. I'm having just fun doing what I'm doing. So other than that, I guess we're going to get out of here, guys. We'll see you guys next week. And look at your guy in the back.
I see he's waving it off.
Bye.
So,
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
yeah, thanks for stopping by. You guys have a great week. See you next week.